Well, just like Mike Norvell, Dabo's got problems. Um, Mike Norvell might just have a quarterback problem. Dabo's got multiple problems. And we are now to the point in the Clemson narrative. Here's how I'm starting this thing. If he doesn't start making changes to his approach, he's done. It's over. You can already remove Clemson from that elite top tier conversation. They're not in it. It's done. It's over. If you want to assimilate it down and just talk about their defense, I'll have that conversation. But as a whole, coaching staff included, offense included, it's not. It's not. Do you know how bad I wish Clemson was on our schedule? I would love to play these guys. I would love to play these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love for our offense to face the test of their defense, because you can't lose that game unless you throw it to them at the 3-yard line for them, or you give them a pick six or a scoop and score. You can't lose to them. Look at what they did versus Georgia. Georgia's first half offensively was not good. Clemson had a big part in that. Not blaming Georgia, not saying their offense won't be good. They had 6 points at half, and you can only manage 3 for the entire game and 188 yards of offense. Again, I just go back to it. And Dabo proves this. He proves this every week, every time he opens his mouth. They still think it's 2021 and what they were doing is going to work. They still think they've got, I don't know, Trevor or Deshaun or somebody back there that's going to make something out of nothing and is generational. You can't tell me, like, this is so jarring for my childhood when we think that Fulmer was handcuffing offensive coordinators. That's got to be something of the sorts what's going on with him and Garrett Riley, right?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is they have a continual problem going on multiple years now, and he hadn't fixed it. Yeah, I guess so. He did a good thing, and what I thought at the time was getting Riley as the offense coordinator, but that's just not panning out. And the narrative of this whole thing was Clemson's defense kept them in this. This is how good Clemson's defense is. Kept them into it until Clemson's defense just could not hold on anymore. You asked them to do all of the heavy lifting, and Cade Klubnik and the rest of the Clemson offense just couldn't do it. Let's take a peek at the stat line real quick. 18 for 29 for a $142, as you already mentioned, and a pick. And then you got Phil Maffa, 16 for 59, 3.7 yard per carry. That's hideous. Hideous.
Yeah.
And so
here, 9 yards.
Yeah. So here it is. So time is showing us that elite quarterback play has covered Sweeney's sins. That elite recruiting, in addition, this is what separates Dabo from Butch. I don't think Dabo is a liar or a used car salesman by any means, that the way Butch was. Dabo surrounded himself with elite quarterback play, elite receiver play, elite running backs, and he doesn't have those things. He's got a 5-star quarterback, but that is where it stops. So he doesn't have anything else.
He has nothing else. And this, I spoke to DJU's quarterback class a moment ago. This is the one I actually meant to speak to, because this one, you had 5-star quarterbacks, Cade Klubnik and Weigman out of Texas A&M that we're going to get to in a minute. What were the guys who evaluate these dudes looking at that time? And look, I think there's a situation where Klubnik can still throw out. It's over for DJ. We know that. But right. Klubnik is not DJ. He's gritty. He'll make more rapid decisions. His accuracy is not perfect by any means. It's average to me, maybe slightly above average at best. And this is, again, one of the toughest defenses that you'll face in college football. We know that. It's Georgia. Saban's defensive mind is out of the game. Mm-hmm. Kirby's is from the tree. It's one and the same just about. But again, man, I don't need to see anything else to know that Dabo thinks what worked 5-10 years ago is going to just fix it right back. Here's the telltale sign. He told you why he didn't want portal players. Number one, those players aren't good enough to play at Clemson.
This
okay. Ain't good, dude.
I called him not. I said he wasn't a liar earlier, and that statement right there, technically on paper, makes him a liar. But he's just hyping up his team. I don't hate him for
He
that,
is, and
but he's
it's
wrong.
not so
But he's
much.
wrong.
It's not so much a lie as it is stubbornness, which is probably the closest trait that he has to Butch Jones. It's stubbornness, belief again, in your set of play calls. And he's done this a lot better. But the type of guy that he brings in, better than Butch did, we acknowledge that. But he's stubborn. That's his fatal flaw. And I don't see a path for him to continue continue if Clemson wants to be an 8-9 win program to ever get back to contending for championships.
Mm-hmm.
I see no path unless you land the next Trevor, Deshaun, etc., and give him some weapons, because either your quarterback play has been so putrid or your offensive game plan has been so putrid that you can't get it to the weapons that you have, or, as I really think is the case, they've dropped off severely.
Right. Right. I want to switch this conversation to the lens of Georgia.
Yeah.
But before I do, a lot of people were telling me yesterday there's not a chance that Clemson gets rid of Dabo. He's a national champion head coach. They would be foolish to get rid of Dabo. Prime example, Mac Brown. You know what got Mac Brown fired?
Perfect.
Stubbornness. He tried to continue a Vince Young, Colt McCoy offense with Garrett Gilbert, and it cost him. You have to adapt. You have to change. The greatest to ever do it, Nick Saban. He said, "You don't want these things, but if this is where you're going, all right, cool. I can play that game too. We can do that." I hate to give credit to that, but he was so good with changing with the times. Now, with that said, Georgia, question: Clemson that bad, or is Georgia that good?
Normally, I would lean towards Georgia that good. I really think I would, and part of it is just, well, the fear that they put into the entire game, the fear that they put into the entire game for 3+ years now. Heck, before they were winning championships, they were dang good. But man, just such stubbornness, Clemson. I don't know that I can go more than like 60% versus the 40% that Georgia's that good, and I think they're dang good. I wanted to talk about too. You can no longer worry about having a national championship winning coach, because this game featured 2 of the 3 that are active, and you name the other in Mac Brown. Okay, you want a championship level coach? You're going to hire Mac Brown away from North Carolina? Is that what you're going to do? You can't worry about that metric anymore. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just speaking to the Clemson fan or the Florida State fan. If they're worried about firing Norvell, whoever's worried about hiring a championship winning coach, there's 3 that are active now. And you're not getting Kirby away from Georgia. You do not want Dabo, even if you're Clemson. I don't think you want him anymore. And Mac Brown is a couple years away from retirement at best. I mean, seriously, like he's not contending for any more titles. It's over. But Georgia's pretty dang good. Clemson played into this a lot, especially 99.9% offensively, because you can't ask a defense to keep up in a game like this. Georgia's gotten to the point where even if your defense is that good, they've thrown so many things at you by halftime, they're going to keep flipping through the playbook. They're going to keep calling different things, and they're going to find the recipe. That's how good they've become offensively. So you're not just going to bully them, even if, early on I thought their offensive line might have taken a small step back. Then I remembered, hey, this is Clemson. They're loaded up there. We don't have to keep saying it. You're not going to win a game where your defense outscores many offenses. Iowa plays that type of schedule, and they do it occasionally, or they used to. Georgia could probably do it in 2021 or so. That's not realistic. This is a modern game, like Saban alluded to with what you referred to from him. This will not cut it.
No, I'm with you. But to start to bring this segment to a close, I think Georgia's really good. I thought Carson Beck looked really, really sharp. They've got this true freshman kid, Nate Frazier, who looks like Nick Chubb reincarnated. Of course, he's a true freshman. Of course, he's massive. Kid goes for 11 for 83, 7.5 yards per carry, a touchdown, and a long run of 40. What scares me about that is a true back, and they've been doing that whole Dylan Bell thing. They did it for 23, struggling to remember if they did it in 22. So that makes me nervous. But to bring this segment to a close, you talked about previous national championship coaches, Mac Brown, and so forth. Two more that came to mind: this millennial, Urban Meyer. Reason he's not coaching is because he's basically couldn't stop cheating on his wife with women at bars. But Jimbo Fisher, you know what got Jimbo Fisher fired? Stubbornness, because he wanted to.
Big old level of stubbornness.
Yeah, and he wanted to run an ancient offense. So,
yep,
it is the narrative that is college football head coaches. You have to adjust. Which, real quick before we end this, makes me nervous for Heupel, because we know what he likes about his offense. Will he continue to adapt it? We saw it a little bit in 23, adjusting to quarterback Joe Milton, but that's not the conversation. Georgia, Clemson, in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz. Georgia did, now that we know, exactly what they were supposed to.